Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, just in time for Easter, Star Fox is back from the dead. A flame is on top of the sixth tree in Dennis Woods, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society is on the top of sixth tree with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including rumors, which you could say is news, I suppose, about the rest of Nintendo's 2026. And then on Thursday, Mark, it is time. We are going to be talking about the Super Mario Galaxy movie with the great Drew Mackey. But in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I have to say, the movie is going to be what it's going to be, but
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think
Yes.
that's going to be like a fun experience.
I think it'll be a fun experience. I must tell you that I was at dinner before coming over here,
Uh-huh.
and I was walking back to my car, walked past the home of one Greg Smith. As he was leaving his house, we exchanged a couple words, said I was going to go see that Mario movie, and he was like, "How we feeling about that?" And I was like, "Ugh." Anyway, I had a conversation with Greg Smith.
I mean, that's fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, that's great. Last time
Mm-hmm.
you got the popcorn bucket.
Yes.
This time, in some ways, okay. Last time it was like a question block
It's a question block. Yeah.
tin.
Yeah.
This
Which
time,
I still have.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a great tin.
Yeah.
This time it's a Yoshi, right?
It's a Yoshi
Holding, like, an
holding an
egg?
egg, and you open the egg, and the egg is the popcorn bucket.
So I also think that's fun in its own way.
Yes.
Less utility, I would say, than. Although maybe you could use this like a planter. Could you put a plant in that? Do you think?
could, yeah, and you could put a plant in the question block thing too. The thing is, the question block is so it's so elegant, you know,
Oh, for sure.
where you're just like, of course.
Oh, it's aerodynamic.
That's why you hit it from the bottom, and the popcorn comes out. Aerodynamic. It is sort of because it's tapered. I wish it wasn't, but I understand that to ship these things across the
It's like the
country.
Ferrari of popcorn buckets. Ooh, the curves on that baby.
I'm just saying this one that one is pretty good.
Yeah, no, totally. It's a great popcorn bucket.
And the Yoshi
It's a great
one,
thing. It's not even. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great object. It's a
Uh-huh.
very good object. The Yoshi one is cool, but it feels so much more like that weird thing that would be in your house.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You're just always kind of hiding it away.
like my virtual boy.
Like your Virtual Boy or your Alarmo or
There are things I'm just not allowed to have out in my own home.
since setting up the office in my house as a sometimes guest bedroom,
Yeah.
and putting the Alarmo in there and plugging it in, the Alarmo's gotten a lot more play. Still not as a alarm clock, but just as a clock that has Link on it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that is perfect to me. That
Yes,
seems amazing
yes.
to have true utility for it.
Yes, and so I'm just saying you could open your heart a little bit.
I guess I could go in the guest room.
That's what I'm saying.
And my husband is out of town. I wonder if he'd even notice.
That's
I mean, not that he wasn't laying down the law about the alarm.
No,
or
I
anything.
think you laid down the law on yourself.
I chose to not take it out of the box.
Right.
But I bet I could put it in. I bet I could.
Similarly, Sarah didn't tell me absolutely no Alarmo, but I could read her thoughts.
Right, yeah. You could intuit it. Yes. You've been together long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about the Virtual Boy? Where's your Virtual Boy hanging out?
So I've got a cabinet that is near the TV that is a fine place for it to be hanging out. I've not turned it on since the new Mario games came out for it.
Right? I haven't played Clash at all.
Clash or tennis. And I'll wait for the next drop of games and then consider getting it out. We'll see. I feel like that was a detour from something else, and now I can't remember where we started.
Oh, popcorn buckets.
Popcorn buckets. No, I'm not planning to get
Yeah.
the Yoshi popcorn bucket. Are you interested in it at all?
I don't think so. I don't know what I would do with it.
Put popcorn in.
Well,
One
after
time.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, I don't really eat a lot of popcorn at the movies.
Right.
I'm not really like
Neither do
a
I.
movie snacking person all that much.
No, you are good at resisting the snack at an event.
Yeah.
You're not an event snacker.
Which I think my life is probably poorer for it. Do you know what I mean?
That you should just allow yourself
I
that
should just
joy.
I should just allow
Yeah.
myself to do it.
I mean, the thing is, because I feel I'm projecting feelings onto you. You can tell me if these aren't your feelings.
Okay.
But I was about to say I feel the same way as you, where like in some ways I want to have my snacking joys privately. I don't need other people knowing that I'm indulging on half a box of Oreos.
It's very Puritan of us both.
I mean, but if
The
I'm just
Scarlet Pea.
it's kind of, but you know, if it's like a social situation and I'm like at a movie or a ball game or whatever, like that actually is the acceptable time to
Totally,
have
100%.
the popcorn, eat the hot dog, drink the beer, whatever.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a bad time to do it. I just deny myself those pleasures for whatever reason.
Right.
I guess I want to extend my miserable life, where I'm not eating Sour Patch Kids.
New angles to this podcast every day. If you would like to hear more about those angles, you can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you're supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries like NCS at the Movies.
Yeah, where we're talking about movies all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, every month we are doing an episode talking where Patrick, myself, and usually a special guest are going to the movies together, talking about that movie and the movie-going experience. We just put out an episode about Project Hail Mary with a couple of weeks ago with friend of the show, Ryan Mogi.
Mhm.
And I guess like in some ways you'll probably get a taste of what that's like when we talk about the Super Mario Galaxy movie later this week. But the timing is actually pretty good.
Should we do an entry in the book?
Yeah, maybe
for the
we
Super
should.
Mario
That might be
Galaxy
fun.
movie, and then we can compare it to the other book entries from. We can explain the book
Yeah.
to people who are only listening on the free feed.
Yeah, that might be really fun. In fact, I think it will be fun.
And yes, I'm gonna even remove the. I think it will be fun.
But we have like entire previous season of
Mm-hmm.
NCS at the movies from last year, plus seasons of other miniseries, including NCS Arcade, NCS Goes Broadway, NCS Detective Club.
The last of which is available for free if you're following us on Patreon.
Exactly. So everybody who follows us on Patreon, there is some content available to you, and you should go check that out.
Yes. Also, you should be in our Discord if you are not already. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. I send you an invitation. You get in there. You talk with us about Nintendo stuff. You have a great time. Us and other people who are also in there. It's not just me and Mark waiting for people to come in.
Yeah, that's right.
Silently, not conversing with each other at all. All right. Well, we've got a little bit of a jam-packed news week here. So let's get into the next segment here and talk about what we've been playing. So I just want to get out in front and say that I have not had altogether that much time to play games this week. Sarah's parents are in town this weekend, and so
And you were hiding me from them.
and I was hiding Mark from them, hiding them from Mark, really, and also not playing that much in the way of games. I did get to spend a little time playing Super Mario Brothers Wonder Switch 2 Edition with Sarah. Because so we messed around ever so briefly with the Bella Bell Park stuff. Had like a medium amount of fun with those mini games. They're not really designed for 2 players. Like I think those, they say up to 4, but like I think you just need 4 for it to mean anything. But there are some new like little additions to the multiplayer mode, like the local multiplayer modes in the regular base game that are interesting and a little bit game changer. So if you go into the settings, you can decide how it treats. So normally in multiplayer, one character will have a little crown icon on them, and the camera will center on them. And the game is sort of capricious with how it assigns the crown. Sometimes it's the person who died last. Sometimes it's just a thing that you like can't really divine. but it meant that like while Sarah and I were both playing and I had played the game already and I'm just like a little bit better at platformers than she is, that it would frustratingly sometimes be on her and sometimes be on me. And really what we want is for it to always be on her, and then I can keep up, right? Like I'm a skilled enough player that it's not going to bother me to not have the camera following me all the time.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So that's what the crown means. It's like
Yes.
the one that the camera is following.
The one that the camera
I see.
follows. So you can change that setting now so that it will always be on the first player or the second player or whatever. So fantastic. Also, the game will now do more of a zoom out when the characters get far apart. Not something that it did before, kind of outrageously, because the new Super Mario Brothers games were so good at that. It really seems like just with the regular tools there, they went in and made the local multiplayer more successful.
That's really interesting. And this isn't like an Animal Crossing update situation where those changes that you're describing did not come to the Switch 1 version of the game.
That's right.
They're just in the Switch 2 version.
Right. Right. And the Switch 2 graphical upgrade is also only available if you get the plus Bella Bell Park. Like it's really just two products, either the Switch 2 edition with the stuff or the Switch 1 edition.
I
That's
see.
it.
I see. On my end, I finished Resident Evil Requiem.
Very good.
I completed the game. And I probably could have defeated the boss on that night that I stopped because I was worried it was going to take too long and it was getting late. But there were, cutscenes bookending the whole thing that extends the experience. All this to say, I had a really good time with Resident Evil Requiem. There is so much I want to talk to you about in this game. So I
got to get back to playing it.
Well, but now I also know how you feel with me about Final Fantasy VII Remake. And so I've got to get back to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
So maybe what we need to do is we need to do like a cultural exchange episode where we both beat these games and then talk to each other about them.
Yes.
Even though Final Fantasy VII Remake will be a, 10-year-old game by that point.
Well, and Requiem will be, who knows. I do want to have, I think I said this already.
You want to have Mikey back.
I do want to have Mikey back to talk about Resident Evil Requiem because we are just scratching the surface in our last discussion. But anyways, a lot to talk about there. But I enjoyed myself a lot, and they've already said that there's new content coming.
Yeah, story content. Yeah.
Yes, and
like a mini game or something like that.
That and have they said if it's going to be paid or not? I don't know. Anyways, I'm looking forward to that to see what else is there. Also, I think
there are ways out from it though. Like they announced that like it's in development or something. Like so we won't see that new content for like a year, I'd say at least.
Oh, interesting. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was like within the next couple of months, but I don't know if that's based on anything. It did make me want to go play 7 and 8, but I don't know when I'll have time to do that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I downloaded the Tomodachi Life Living the Dream demo called Welcome Version,
which is available now for anyone. You can get the demo of Tomodachi Life Living the Dream.
And when you start, anything you do in there can carry over, like your save will carry over to the full version if you pick it up. So the demo's limited to 3 Miis, but it walks you through the whole thing. Like, you can import or like create a Mii, and then it has you, kind of like do some stuff with that Mii, and it guides you basically to say, and now put another Mii there. Right. Now do this, now do that. One thing it did give me a much better idea of what sets this apart from other, like from an Animal Crossing or like a Pokopia or something like that, where it is very silly. And it's much more like micro-managey than those things where you are, like you're dictating what these people are going to talk about. Like you're picking the subject. You are choosing what the people are named. You are choosing what to feed the people when they are hungry. Like it's much. And so, but in an appealing way, like in a way that sets it apart. And I thought that making the Miis was fun as well because they give you two options. One where they kind of, again, like guide you through it. So you're making like the bigger decisions, and then they're filling in the details.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
then you can jump to the detailed version to be like, no, I want to bring the mouth up a little bit, or I want to change like the eye color or whatever. Or you can jump right into like the more detailed version. I didn't play for that long. Like, I got the 3 people on the island. I did some of the things that you can like do, but I didn't want to get that far because I am going to be getting this game, and the things that you choose to like, I didn't want to level them up like my Mii's, just limited by the things that are available to you in the demo, which is just like a few foods, a few like items you can gift them, a few, I can't remember what they call them, but like quirks that you can give them.
I think quirks is what they call them, but yeah.
Obviously the game has a ton of those things and the demo has very few, but by interacting with them and building the relationships in like the 3 that you create, you're like cementing decisions about those characters. And I didn't want to go too far with the limitations of the demo.
Right.
But it was enough of a taste for me to be like, okay, I kind of get more what this game is and what sets it apart from other types of these games that I've played before.
It's also, you don't play as like a perspective character, right? Like you're basically God.
Yeah, I mean, they ask like, you pick your hand colors, so when you're handing them stuff, you see like they're basically like photorealistic. They're like photos of hands.
Yeah, great.
Great,
stupid. I love it.
Yeah, they ask what they should call you, so they do like address you directly and stuff. But you are not. It's not like Animal Crossing where you're creating a villager or a Mii to like exist in that world. You are God, but you can have God call. You can have them call you whatever you want.
Right.
You have to decide. But
including Lord.
The other thing that's nice
Not the singer.
Is that but you could.
You could.
The other thing that's nice is that they give you like options for basically everything. It's like, what do you want to name your island? You can put in anything you want, but it also just has like 12 suggestions as well.
Oh,
it's
that's
just like,
nice.
oh, do you want to like choose one of these? I did spend an inordinate amount of time in the beginning trying to get it, because you put in the name and it has that automated voice.
Yes.
And you can modulate the voice for you choose voices for all of your Mii's. But it'll try to pronounce the name of your island when you type it in.
Oh yeah, sure. Can you correct it?
Yes,
just the pronunciation.
So it also gives you the option. So like mine was pizza.
Yeah.
And it could not say pizza. It said pizza. And so I spent so much time trying to like phonetically get it to say pizza.
Right. I think you got to put a T in there.
It could not do it. I could not figure out. Yeah, no, I did I did PEAT. ZA. Like still did it could it always wanted it to be one like I wanted it to be like pizza.
Right.
It always wanted it to be one quick syllable, just like pizza.
Huh.
And it drove me crazy. But I was like, okay, I've spent enough time on this.
Right.
I can't. I've got to like actually get into the game. But yeah, you can. You can change.
Okay,
you can tell it like how you want it. You can try to get it to pronounce it correctly, anyways, or how you want it to be.
And we had talked a little bit about when this game was like blown out kind of recently, that like they are limiting the sharing functionality of like screenshots and video, maybe even to the point where you can't do it at all. And I think some of that is because it seems like all of the like censorship filters are just off.
Yeah, it seems like you can put like swear words.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah.
It seems like they're just like, go ahead, have fun with this.
But I don't know if there's like specific scenarios or what, because I did like I didn't do it during a cutscene or anything like that. I don't know if you'd really call them cutscenes, but there's like little vignettes. But I was able to take like a screen grab.
Okay.
I didn't try doing like a screen recording. So I don't know if it's just for the demo. I don't know if it's in certain areas that they like turn it on and like other times they turn it off, depending on the scenario. Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I was able to take a screen grab.
Well, so this game comes out in just a couple weeks.
Yeah.
At this point,
I don't know what I'm gonna fit it in. I just have I haven't started Pokopia. I need to
Yeah.
play Final Fantasy VII, but I am getting it because I bought those
The
that
vouchers.
last pair of vouchers.
Yeah, just for this purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also bought the pair of vouchers kind of with the intent of getting Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. But now that we're like a couple weeks away from the Dixie Kong being added, my appetite for that has like almost entirely vanished.
Hi.
So I got to use these vouchers, otherwise I just wasted $100. So I'll get Tomodachi Life for sure. Okay, that's what we've been playing. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right, first stop, Nintendo Music.
As always.
Tracks from Animal Crossing New Horizons Hotel and Slumber Island expansions or areas have been added to Nintendo Music.
From the version 3.0
Yes,
update. So
update.
it is relatively new music to Animal Crossing being added to Nintendo Music.
And then as far as new game releases, today, March 31st, South of Midnight is released digitally on Switch, as well as Super Meat Boy 3D and Legacy of Kain Ascendance on both Switch and Switch 2.
Yeah, all games that we have seen featured on either Nintendo Directs or showcases of other varieties.
Yeah, South of Midnight, for whatever reason, is what I was getting confused with Kenna Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, okay.
From last week, where I was saying that it was shown at like an Xbox presentation or whatever.
Right, there we go.
Okay, and then on Wednesday, April 1st, of course, the Super Mario Galaxy movie is released, as well as Lego Mario Kart Luigi and Mach 8 figure. On Thursday, Darwin's Paradise. No. On Thursday, April 2nd, Darwin's Paradox is released on Switch 2.
Yes, this is that octopus game.
As well as Mario and Luma and Rosalina and Luma's amiibo. The big amiibo.
The big amiibo.
For Super Mario Galaxy.
Which I have not purchased. I did get my Mario Wonder amiibo, and they're very cute. There's the Captain Toad and Talking Flower amiibo rocks, but the headlamp is like, it juts out from the top of Toad's head. And so, like, if you are above the amiibo, you can't really see his face. It's like blocked by the headlamp. So, like, you gotta hold the Toad up in order to see his face. I mean, it's pretty good. But, yeah. And then like the Poplin, actually all three of these amiibo, like excellent build quality, really cool fun textures. The like lamp on the Captain Toad is like clear, so like
cool.
It's glass.
So it's not just painted on.
It's not just painted on.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's a fun detail.
And like they all have like little flowers on the stand. They rule. I'm very happy with them.
Yeah, I really liked I think they're very aesthetically appealing.
Yes. Did you have one in particular that you liked more than the others?
No, I don't think so. What I was going to ask you is that Captain Toad the first Captain Toad amiibo that we've had?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, we've also just not had that many Toad amiibos. Like, I think there's just the Mario series Toad amiibo, because there wouldn't have been a Smash Brothers one.
Right.
And then, I just don't think there's been another opportunity for one.
Makes sense.
And of course, this is the first Poplin amiibo that we've gotten.
I know it is funny that there's a Toad. I mean, I guess Captain Toad, but there is like a Toad amiibo in a game where Poplins are the Toad equivalents.
Yes. Well, so there are like Captain Toad levels in the new Mario Wonder levels, where he's like teamed up with a little bird who flies him around because he can't jump. It's pretty good. It's pretty cute.
That's fun.
Anything else on the list of new releases here you want to shout out?
I don't think so.
We, of course, will be talking about the Super Mario Galaxy movie in just a couple days. So, Mark, let's close out the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, when a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you have pulled up for us here a list of the most popular Easter treats in every state.
Yeah, treats is kind of in air quotes because I was perusing the list, and
Or some of them like lamb.
they're not lamb, but I'll tell you right now, a large amount of them are boiled eggs, which I would not count as an Easter treat or a treat at all.
Except that they are, I mean, the hard-boiled eggs, right? And it's obvious like that's a decorated egg.
Possibly. I don't. I suppose it could be. Yes.
Did you paint eggs with your parents growing up?
Yeah, we would do egg dyeing,
and then you would not eat them.
No, I guess we would eat them.
Okay, so it sounds like it was a great treat for you.
Yeah, I don't know that I would consider it a treat though.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like homework food.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't consider eggs treats in any form. Like I like eggs fine, but I wouldn't consider it a treat.
Yeah, it feels like it could very well be an everyday food, right?
Uh-huh.
Not like a candy of some kind.
Yes, exactly.
Before we start diving into individual states, do you have any gut instinct about? I mean, you've already revealed that there are a lot of eggs. I feel like solid chocolate bunny is that feels like a no-brainer to me.
Right. Yeah. Cadbury eggs have to be up there.
Cadbury eggs as well, yes.
Jelly beans I associate with Easter.
Yeah, so do I. I think because they go in those plastic eggs. And also we're just strewn around everything. I got a bag of the mini Cadbury cream eggs this year. That are they're basically fat M&Ms, but with better chocolate inside. Pretty good, Mark.
I haven't had a Cadbury egg for a really long time.
So it's not like the real the full size.
Sure. Yeah.
Just the chocolate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had a.
Oh wait, it's just the chocolate. There's no.
It's chocolate and a candy shell, but that's it.
Oh, there's okay. Got it. I understand.
Because isn't there also like a caramel or some sort of softer gooey thing in a regular?
Well, when I think of it has been many years, but I think of a
We're doing our
Cadbury.
best.
I think of a Cadbury cream egg as having a creamy substance inside.
Right, and I'm saying that the mini ones do not have that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're on the same page.
We're on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. But they have a candy coating, which is new.
They do have a candy coating.
Yes, I understand now. I fully
They're
understand.
like big M&Ms with bigger, better chocolate.
But not with anything in the inside.
No.
Are they hollow?
No, chocolate.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. Okay. Yeah.
We are running out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do California.
Okay, great.
Any guesses?
Ham?
Caramel eggs.
Caramel eggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll do Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm scrolling.
It's scrolling all the way down.
Yeah.
The W's down there with West Virginia.
Hey, Wisconsin is boiled eggs.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing about the we got this list. No, we're not stopping. I have to at least explain the methodology.
Yes.
We got this list from bestlifeonline.com. It even has a little thing, like a little marker saying that it's quote fact or not quote check. There's a check mark and it says fact checked.
Okay.
All right. And if you hover over it, that little symbol, it says our content is fact checked by our senior editorial staff to reflect accuracy and ensure our readers are getting sound information and advice to make the smartest, healthiest choices.
What's the website?
Bestlife.com.
Best Life.
No. Bestlifeonline.com.
Okay, bestlifeonline.com.
Yeah.
And we think the Best Life Online senior editorial staff has the knowledge.
No, here's the thing. You
Yeah.
read the first paragraph, and this is the methodology.
Yeah.
It's based on Google Trends.
Okay.
So, of course, people are going to be looking up boiled eggs.
Because they need to know how long to boil them.
Exactly. So I think the methodology is flawed.
About 10 minutes.
But it does make me appreciate even more when you have states like Alabama that are like chocolate bunnies. They're like, we don't care how long we need to boil
Or they
the
just
eggs.
know.
Or they're yes, exactly. They have the
They're
knowledge.
asking their grandmother who pulls out a recipe card from a recipe box.
Because like Arkansas, Starburst jelly beans. Like they're getting to the meat of the issue.
Wow, that's a specific jelly bean.
It is super specific.
Do you have a go-to jelly bean?
I don't really like jelly beans. I guess if I had to choose, if I was forced to choose, if you are forcing me to choose right now, I would say
Bernie bots every flavor bean.
I would say the sour Jelly Bellies.
Yeah, Jelly Bellies are a good jelly bean. I agree with that.
But in general,
Although they do make the Bernie Bott's every flavor beans.
I think they have a real stranglehold on
Yeah.
jelly beans in the United States,
And the
for
greater
sure.
bean culture.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jelly or otherwise.
I'm going through the list and will not surprise you. So I think only... No. Okay. A surprising number of states have Starburst jelly beans specifically.
That's interesting.
Kansas is the first state that I've come across that just has jelly beans. They don't care. They're just in it for any of them.
Do you think that like Starburst jelly beans were new when this was conducted and people were like, what are these Starburst jelly beans?
Okay, so this list was published March, and I didn't look at this before. This list was published on March 31st, 2021. So it's not ancient, but it is 5 years old.
Yeah, and kind of still in the thick of COVID. Like,
yeah, no, that's true. We were like fighting over vaccines at this point.
That's right. That's right.
And so, do you think people are just happy to get any sort of jelly bean they could get?
Yeah, well, I think
it was like puzzles.
I think yes, it was like puzzles or yes, exactly. But that they, Starburst was like, hey, look, we can introduce a new product right now. We can just punch these things into the shape of beans.
Well, I mean, Starburst jelly beans have been around for a long time.
Oh, is that true?
And they're they're just a regular jelly bean, but they have the flavor of Starburst.
Oh.
They don't have like the kind of like milky texture of a Starburst. They're just a jelly bean, and then they're throwing whatever chemicals they throw to create
the same chemicals.
Yeah,
right.
the same chemicals.
Right.
Michigan. I'm sorry, I know we're way over 433.
I
I forgot
okay.
that we had already gone through the applause. Michigan throwing us all for a real loop here. Sweet tart jelly beans.
Sweet tart jelly beans.
That does not sound good to me.
No, that's
personally.
no good. Michigan, you're on notice. All right, Mark. We were accompanied today by the Berliner Philharmoniker. Let's get into the news.
Okay, Nintendo revealed a new character and voice actor for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's Star Fox.
Star Fox is in the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Yeah, Fox McCloud is there, and he's played by Glen Powell.
Yeah, you're right. Important to note, this is Fox McCloud. The character's name is not Star Fox. Star Fox is Thanos' brother in the MCU, who we know, of course, is played by Harry Styles, famously at the end of Returnals.
Yeah, I'm sure setting up something in Avengers Doomsday.
Right, we'll see Pip the Troll, and Clea is played by Charlize Theron. We'll see all of those characters again.
But yeah, Fox McCloud, Glen Powell. They've kept this a surprise for so long, and just like a week before the movie's out, they're like, I don't know if this has enough gas in the tank. Let's get the Star Fox folk like pumped for this.
The Star Fox folk. That is assuming the existence of a population that does not. I think what this has done, what this piece of information has done, is activated the same crowd of people that were going to see this movie anyway. To have them go, wait a minute, what is this, right? I think this invites tea leaf reading, and people want to be like, are we on the verge? Are we on the eve of a Smash Brothers movie announcement?
I think you're right, because there's obviously a big rumor out there right now that we're going to get to in a second about a new Star Fox game coming for Switch 2 this summer.
Right.
And so I can absolutely see that in a world where that didn't presumably leak early,
right,
that this would tickle the minds in a way. And I think you're totally right that is what Nintendo intended by this announcement.
Yes. It's just to get the people who are already talking about this movie talking about a couple other things, right?
Is Grippy going to be there?
Is Grippy going to be there? We need to know. And who voices Grippy?
Is that Pete Davidson?
That we got to put Pete Davidson in this movie somewhere. But also, the movie takes place in space. Put Fox McCloud up there.
Yeah, totally.
I don't care.
Yeah, no, we really don't.
Do you think this is the only member of Star Fox that we see in this movie?
Yeah, I wonder, because what is the context?
I don't know. He has a character poster.
Right. So if he's in it for, I guess this is me saying no. I would imagine that maybe silently, but we do see other.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just
like on the Great Fox or whatever.
Right, or like a quartet of R-Wings flying over him or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just as long as the existence of Grippy Slippy's uncle is implied by the movie.
Right.
Although I guess maybe him being in the movie at all, Fox being in the movie at all, implies the existence of Grippy.
Right.
So I'm satisfied without even seeing whatever his presence is in the movie.
Too bad. We're going to see it. Yeah, I mean, what a weird little thing to drop like the week before.
But like you
the
said,
movie
it makes
comes out.
total sense.
Yeah.
Just as a like, I mean, honestly, wow, Star Fox is, I guess, in a movie where Wart is featured and like as a voiced character, that
Luis Guzman.
That maybe it's not so crazy that Star Fox would be there. But to my mind, Star Fox was deader than Wart from Mario 2.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a decade since we've last seen a Star Fox game.
And the last time there was a Star Fox game, it was an enormous embarrassment.
Right.
It was just like a huge bomb. Like people were just like, no, thank you.
It was a huge bomb that paired with like a really forgettable side game, and then a couple months later, the Star Fox 2 being released as part of the Super NES Classic Edition, which
and
isn't
Starfield was right around that same time that had exclusive, wasn't it? Wasn't it
Battle for Atlas, Star Link.
That sounds right. I'm gonna look it up, but I think you're right.
Yeah, well, that was even just a little bit later, I think.
Oh yeah, it must have been because it was on the Switch.
Yeah.
But
regardless, it's been such a long time that like Star Fox is like it's feeling like a dormant franchise.
Yeah.
And like, can you kind of draw comparisons to Donkey Kong being in the previous one, and there not really being a new Donkey Kong game in a long time? Like, kinda. I don't think it was quite that bad in 2023 when the Super Mario movie came out. And also just like Donkey Kong has more cultural significance than Star Fox does.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, I do think it was intended just as a tease for who knows what, but just the idea that Star Fox lives, right?
Right.
Star Fox is not F-Zero. Although F-Zero 99, never mind. Let's just move on. Let's just move on.
Well, I guess also I wanted to just briefly touch on the Glen Powell of it all. So many other like members of the cast are like comedy people, right? Like even the most like movie star in there, Chris Pratt, like comes from comedy. There are only like a handful, like Brie Larson's not, although she like kind of started in like more humorous stuff. But like Anya Taylor-Joy is like really the only one where I'm like, not a comedian. But here's like Glen Powell, not a comedian.
Right. Yeah. Although affable.
Totally affable.
Yeah.
Totally affable.
Well, let's get into the meat of this. Let's get into these rumors from Nate the Hate on his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nate the Hate, I would say most notable in my mind for leaking dates of Nintendo Directs.
Mm-hmm.
And if he said that a Nintendo Direct was coming on a certain date or like a certain week, you could pretty much bank on it. I offhand cannot think of the last time that he was incorrect.
Right.
To my mind, this is the first time that he's just totally blown out, like, Nintendo's year in a way that like it makes me wonder what triggered this, because it's big news.
If true.
If true.
Which some of it does, VGC has said that like what Nate the Hate lays out here has been corroborated by their sources. No one is naming sources, of course, but so it seems like what we are about to discuss here is likely to be part of the rest of Nintendo's year. Probably not exclusively what the rest of Nintendo's year is, but I mean, big stuff in here. So maybe we should just like talk through each of those.
Yeah, and really
things.
Like could be this plus the stuff that we already know about.
Yeah, it could be pretty close.
Okay, so we talked about Star Fox. Nate the Hate saying a classic style Star Fox game with impressive visuals is planned for the summer.
Yep.
With online multiplayer. Announced, he was saying like maybe in April from like through like Nintendo Today or something like that.
Right.
Not part of a Nintendo Direct. He doesn't think that there's going to be a Nintendo Direct till June, which matches what we've been thinking seemed likely. But anyways, a new Star Fox game.
A classic style Star Fox game
with online multiplayer.
With online multiplayer that looks good. I would love it possibly if it's good. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioning that Star Fox Zero was an embarrassment, like that's true, and like the game's not bad necessarily, but it is like clunky and kind of hard to control. And in so many ways, it was like if Nintendo just doesn't get in their own way, the game could have been fun, right?
I kind of wonder. I have a hard time believing that. I think it could be classic style, but I have
Mhm.
a hard time believing that Nintendo's just going to make another Star Fox
Right,
game.
right.
So
What's the hook? What's the angle?
what is the hook? Like why Star Fox? Why now?
Yeah, totally. Well, and like, or is it something that they've been, milling on for years and years, and are just like, well, the next time we do Star Fox, we have to get it right.
Right.
And like the previous one was a Miyamoto directed game, like one of his.
Was it what did he direct
I
it?
believe he directed it. Either he directed it or he's like one of the lead producers on it. But like, maybe now this will be like them, you know, getting Miyamoto getting out of the way for like a.
So he wasn't a director, but he
Okay.
was a producer.
Okay.
He was one of the producers.
He was one of the producers and like really like forward on the publicity for it at least. So yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm stuttering around is like maybe it's time that this be passed off to the younger generation to figure out where the juice actually was here
Yeah.
and spit it back out.
So, okay. Star Fox.
Yep, Star Fox. Put that in one column. Star Fox this summer.
No 3D Mario this holiday. 3D Mario in 2027. In its place, so presumably for the big holiday game,
Mhm.
a Zelda remake to coincide with the series' 40th anniversary, and that remake being Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
So I have to be honest, when I saw this leak and it was Star Fox and an Ocarina of Time remake as like 10 pulls in Nintendo's year, I felt a little deflated. And I'm
Sure.
still trying to like gather my feelings about all this and figure out like what the deal is. Because sight unseen,
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling to see what like a remake of Ocarina of Time brings to the table.
I am very curious what it means to remake Ocarina of Time because we've done that already
With the 3D
with
version.
the 3D version on 3DS, and that is a good version of that game. It is my preferred way to play Ocarina of Time. It looks good, it sounds good, it plays great. I don't think this can be that.
I don't think it can either. Part of the reason I don't think it can be like a faithful one-to-one recreation of Ocarina of Time is because Ocarina of Time is an amazing game, obviously, but it's the perfect game for the Nintendo 64, like the 3DS. Like the scope of it is
Right.
appropriate for those systems. Like you go into like Castletown and it's what, like 3 screens, 2 screens. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah, it's very small. And like Hyrule Field is also like you can run across it in like fewer than 10 minutes, right?
Right.
And like that is kind of an unacceptable way to engage with a big open world now. It's just not a big open world.
Right. And so I think right now it's like failure of imagination on my part to see like what this could be, but just another like sprucing up
Right.
of Ocarina of Time doesn't really excite me that much.
Well, so I remain kind of excited for this no matter what it is. But if it is just a prettying up of Ocarina of Time and like, a representation of it on modern hardware, that is, if nothing else, an excuse to replay Ocarina of Time. Right? And that's the kind of kick in the butt I need to do that. I like the game, but if I'm not playing it for a podcast or it's not being newly released on a console, I'm not going to play it again, right?
Sure, yeah.
But my hope is that it would be so much, or that it would be something more.
I totally.
Because otherwise, if Nintendo is putting out a remake of a Zelda game they tend to put, especially the 3D ones, those are like, those are your March games or something like that. That's not a holiday release.
Exactly. That's totally how I'm feeling. Like I'm like as a September sort of thing. Sure. That I feel like that's when
Sure.
we got Skyward Sword HD.
Mhm.
That's when we got
Link's Awakening. Right.
But as like the big holiday anchor,
We can't do a remake for that.
like a simple representation
Right.
just doesn't it's just not exciting to me.
Right.
But I agree with you. I live in hope and kind of expectation that it is going to be more than that. There's so much connective tissue that they could expand and elaborate on to make it a much bigger experience.
It's so the thing here's what's so hard is that like the size and balance and scope of Ocarina of Time is like you say, like dated and like home on a handful of specific pieces of Nintendo hardware that are not the Switch, but is kind of a perfect little gem, right? Like,
Right.
And to mess with that in like a significant way is going to be to make it worse.
To make it
Probably.
or to make it like so different that it's the Twilight Princess. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like,
Yes.
it's something that you took a lot
Boy, what
of
a great point.
the
Yeah.
bones and then built it out and elaborated it into its own experience. So yeah, I think I just as with so many things where I'm like,
I need to see it.
Exactly. What is Nintendo doing? It's failure of my own imagination, but I currently am not super excited for this to be their anchor. And part of the reason is that, and this is another thing that I totally admit, it is a contradiction. It doesn't make any sense. I have too many games to play
Right.
on the Switch 2 right now.
But you
right?
cannot wait for a new Mario to come
But
out.
well, part of it is that, but part of it is like, I have so many games to play, so many amazing experiences available to me on the Switch 2. But what I continue to want, and I feel like has been missing since Donkey Kong Bonanza for me, is that Nintendo magic.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I feel like Nintendo first party has been respectable.
Yes.
Has been, they've had like an all-timer with Bonanza. I think World is really great. Mario Kart World,
right?
But
and then Pokopia is also occupying like an all-timer sort of status.
And I haven't started it yet, but
Right.
I know that is true sales-wise for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's become a system seller. But yeah, and so it's like, okay, like Star Fox, cool. I know we have Fire Emblem, nice. There's like a Yoshi game and like a Zelda remake. Like that's all nice. That all sounds great. And it's not that
It all sounds 2019.
Yeah,
Nintendo
it all
Switch.
sounds fine. It all sounds, and I'm sure like some of those will be like really fun. I think Fire Emblem, I'm excited to see what the form that game takes, like all that stuff. But yeah, I especially if this is like who is making this? I think that's another question.
Yeah.
Like
point.
is it Grezzo? Are they
Grezzo just put out a Zelda game, like a brand new one in the form of Echoes of Wisdom. So I guess, and like I think there's a thing that we're both a little bit hung up on here is Nate the Hate saying that this is in place of the 3D Mario game, that is not coming out this year, but instead is coming out next year.
Right, and I think in place of just meaning on the release calendar.
Right, but also like maybe that's just another data point that he has that this Zelda game is going to come out, and so he's interpreting that, or even just expressing it as in its place.
Just because there's
the Zelda game comes out,
and that makes a lot of sense because there's been so much expectation that that holiday of 2026 would be 3D Mario.
Sure, right, yes. But like like just if it could be a Metroid Prime remaster situation where just as part of the September Direct they're like, here's Ocarina of Time remake, and it is just a beautiful graphical upgrade, and with like all the bells and whistles from the 3DS version of like Boss Rush and all this other like stuff, and it's available now and will be available physically later
for the 40th anniversary.
Exactly, and it's $40 or probably $50. And then there is another like blockbuster game experience for the end of the year, like that. I think we're in great shape. But yeah, the thought of this being the marquee title for holiday 2026, unless they've done something insane, is going to be a little disappointing.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I again, we will it's not that long until we'll probably have an announcement on this.
You would think June, right?
June.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I found the whole thing just kind of disappointing. Honestly, just like a little disappointing.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit in the Discord about how infrequently Nintendo makes or does like big remakes that do like fundamentally like change the like scope and like moment to moment gameplay of the games. We see a lot of like representations of games where like the graphics are different, or there's like an extra level or something like that. But to really get a radical transformation, there just aren't that many, right? Like Metroid Zero Mission is an example of like one really big one.
That's a good point.
Michael Hearn in the Discord pointed out the Super Mario 64 DS version, that like those do take like the bones of those games and like blow them out into something that is functionally different. I think Paul in the Discord suggested like Link's Awakening, and like for me that's a little bit more of like a representation. There are new controls, obviously all new graphics, the map going from like screen to screen to like a continuous scrolling thing. That's all like different, but it's all flavors of the original. So like I'm just saying there's not that much history to suggest that Nintendo has a full-blown remake in them for a classic game like Ocarina of Time.
And Ocarina of Time is such a like sacred text.
It truly is.
That I don't know if you're gonna. Yeah. Anyways,
It's
hard to say more without seeing the thing.
Right. And without knowing that it's real.
Right.
Currently, we do not.
Right.
We can assume.
Do you think they do something just like remake it in the Breath of the Wild engine?
To what end? Are you
like
climbing, are you climbing around on stuff?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and also like then we need a kid Link, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Stay tuned. So Nathan Haight also says that a Switch sports game will be coming to the Switch 2 as well, though he's unsure if it's a new game or a Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Switch Sports.
Yeah, this is one that I'm going to meet with kind of a shrug. Who cares? But to remember that Nintendo Switch Sports sold almost 18 million copies on Switch 1.
And was fun.
It didn't light the world on fire, but it did sell 18 million copies.
Right. Hey, maybe they'll do like a Switch Sports Resort type thing.
Sure.
Sure.
Like I don't totally know what that means, but yeah.
Just like basically like make it
more events.
You have the like world that it exists in,
all
that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you mentioned, VGC has said that this matches what they have been hearing from their own sources. And like we mentioned, he was also saying on the podcast that it's unlikely that Nintendo will have a direct before June, but we could see smaller announcements via social media and that sort of thing. Because we also, I guess, like Pokemon Raiders isn't dated, but is still out there.
Splatoon Raiders.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Splatoon Raiders is still out there. Looming. We, of course, have Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, and then rumored editions of Switch 2 editions of Pikmin 4 and Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So, a lot of stuff. I'm not denying that. It's just I'm jonesing for that, like
you want that
Nintendo magic.
Right.
Yeah. And it feels a little bit like some ways like the Wii U a little bit, where it's just like it's harder to make games and Nintendo is not big enough to make their own games with like I'm guessing that the majority of these games, like Star Fox, is not going to be developed by like maybe Next Level Games, possibly, but I think it's more likely that it's going to be like Bandai Namco or something like that.
Probably Bandai Namco. One of them was made by Sega previously, so like we who knows? I think anyone could make a Star Fox game.
Right, and I think like a Zelda remake, like we said, like could be Grezzo, like and that's all fine. But
Do you remember, like, back in the day, one of our, like, wish list things was that Grezzo got to make another 3DS Zelda game in the
Yeah.
style of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask?
uh-huh.
What if this is actually that?
That would be pretty cool.
That they're, like, in the engine but making their own game? That would be neat.
That would be neat. That would be rad.
I don't know. I wonder if there's, since Ocarina of Time came out, we just talk about this forever. I'm sorry. But since Ocarina of Time was, placed in the Zelda timeline, it has taken on the sort of like added significance of this timeline breaker, right? That
Right.
it is the point from which 3 different timelines emerge. And I wonder if there's something to mine from that. Parts of either of those 3 endings to explore further beyond what the game already explored.
Do you mean like in this
game,
in this remake,
Yeah.
in the remake,
Yeah.
explore that somehow?
Well, because like I'm just trying to, the game goes from like Link is a child who is not special, who's never held a sword before, to he becomes an adult and is the hero of time, and Link arcs out. I'm just trying to figure out like where does more content come from within that game. And the fact that it introduces 3 separate timelines could be some fertile ground to explore. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think you could also do stuff like, okay, we're making Kakariko Village bigger, and then
And there's more stuff in
and
it.
there's more stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But that it just, I don't know. That doesn't. We'll just have to see.
We will just have to see.
have to see.
Right.
Last week, Nintendo announced a new pricing structure for their first-party games in North America. So starting in May with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, Nintendo Switch 2 games will have different prices for digital and physical versions.
Yes. That's huge. Different prices for physical and digital versions of Nintendo first-party games on Switch 2.
For example, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is $59.99 digitally and has a suggested retail price of $69.99 physically.
Right. So the physical price represents what we've seen for the most part for Switch 2 games.
Uh-huh.
And the digital price is $10 cheaper than that. Now, we talked about this when we got this sort of overview trailer for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Previously, it looked like this game was coming in as a little bit of a budget title. Not crazy, but just a lower price point in other territories.
Yeah, exactly. So, as for example, Yoshi is 50 pounds.
Yes.
In the UK versus Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is 59 pounds, right? So about a 10-pound difference. In Europe, that's for the digital version. And then in Europe, the digital version of Yoshi is 70 pounds. No.
That's for the physical.
Yeah, sorry. In Europe, Yoshi is 60 euros. Donkey Kong Bonanza was 70 euros.
Right. So it does seem like it is, we can just translate those to dollars, right? Because they're the exact same numbers.
Yeah.
It seems like Yoshi should be $10 cheaper than Donkey Kong.
Yes.
So that leads us to again, just like sort of complicated here, because like if they had come up with this dual pricing structure when Bonanza came out, would we have been paying $60 for it digitally?
So I think that's the big crux of this whole thing,
Yes.
right? Because there's still, even though Nintendo, like IGN followed up with them, right?
Yes.
And IGN said, quote, Nintendo has issued a statement to IGN in response to our inquiry about the Switch 2 game pricing change, following confusion regarding whether this was Nintendo effectively concealing a quiet price increase by making physical Switch 2 games more expensive, or if it is in fact Switch 2 digital games getting cheaper. Because I do think that this is the crux of the whole thing, and I fall on one side of this. But one interpretation of Nintendo's actions and their statement is that, like you said, Donkey Kong Bonanza, if it were released today, would be $10 cheaper digitally. So it'd be $60 digitally and $70 physically if
Right.
it were released today under this new pricing scheme.
Something we have no evidence of.
Yes.
Right.
But that's one side of that's one interpretation of Nintendo's statement. This is what and I just want to say that this is what Nintendo's like clarified statement to IGN is.
Right.
The cost of physical games is not going up. This means that when Nintendo sells digital versions of Nintendo published games exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2 to consumers in the US, those prices will have an MSRP that is lower than their physical counterparts. Retail partners set their own prices for physical and digital games, and pricing for each title may vary.
Right. So, I mean, another just sort of like wrinkle to throw in the mix here is because there have been Switch 2 editions of a lot of these games that have the like mandatory DLC added to them, and Mario Kart World is priced this way. Some Switch 2 games have been $80.
Yeah, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, right?
Right. Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Yep.
And the Super Mario Brothers Wonder as well. All $80 on Switch 2.
Okay. So, like, by the letter of the law, what Nintendo here is saying is true.
Yes.
The cost of physical games is not going up because every game that was released previously
stays the same.
Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is a new announcement of a price.
Right.
So they're not raising that price.
Yes.
That is the price of the game, right?
Right.
So the way some people, again, believe that if Bonanza came out today, it would be $60 digitally and $70 physical. I do not believe that.
So you think that the next like big, say Fortune's Weave, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, that is going to be $70 digital, $80 physical?
I think it's possible. I think that the next like 3D Mario game for sure is going to be. So basically, but yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that as we have seen from Yoshi's pricing worldwide, Yoshi is a quote unquote discount title.
Sure.
And that big titles are in fact going to be
more expensive physically.
Yes, that Donkey Kong Bonanza, if released today, would be 70 digital, 80 physical. That Mario Kart World, if it were released today, would be $80 digital, 90 physical.
Ooh boy, 90 physical for what's interesting because they sold so many copies of it for $50 digitally. Yeah, I mean, it's I wonder if Nintendo will get to a point where they are charging $90 for a physical game.
Well, I don't think they will necessarily,
yeah.
Right? I think 70, 80 is maybe where
it maxes out.
Potentially where it like maxes out. But this is where I think they can get away with it, is saying, or like, again, letter of the law, the cost of physical games is not going up. That is, of course, true because any game that is like even 80, 90 in the future is not going up. That's just announced
its price. Right. And it's really sort of ingenious to announce this in conjunction with a game that has a lower price.
That is what I think.
Because it is like muddying the waters of what all of this means. The thing is, I do wonder if they just have been looking for a way to charge less for the digital games, because obviously they eat it on tariffs when they sell games in the US physically, as everyone does. We're about to talk about PlayStation taking some sort of drastic action there, not as far as games are concerned, but as far as hardware goes. That because another thing that we're about to get into is like Nintendo didn't have the best holiday season with hardware sales. So like because it does not cost them that much to sell a digital game for $60 instead of $70.
And their margins are higher, right?
And their margins are way higher digitally.
Like you said, they're not shipping anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no manufacturer who's taking their cut, or not. There's no
and there's no distributor,
that's taking their cut.
That it is just like Nintendo, just all of that money goes right back to them. And so I'm sure it saves them more than $10 to sell it digitally, right? That they get if they will get a higher overall return on a digital product, even if the physical is selling for $10 more.
I think that's probably right. Yeah. And so I do think that's probably the math of it all. Plus, they're incentivized to sell digital games.
Totally.
For all of those reasons, and also because, it like locks people into the platform and
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they can't resell the games and, all that good stuff. which, like Nintendo has obviously tried to do a lot. We had we were just talking about earlier, the voucher program, which, encouraged you to buy even two at a time digital games, because you would end up saving 20, or if Tears of the Kingdom was part of it, $30 in the long run.
And our dearly departed gold coins.
And our dearly departed gold coins.
We're getting 5% back
That's
on
right.
every digital purchase you made.
Which could, of course, then be used towards further digital purchases.
Yeah.
So, yes, they want you to buy digital more than they want you to buy physical. And obviously, this is a space that we will watch maniacally going forward, and is the exact kind of minutia, stupid stuff that you and I love digging into. So we'll talk about it.
And also, I could be
again.
totally wrong. It's also possible that they feel like they truly have hit a price ceiling. That I think some of the anecdotal stuff that we've seen online is that Mario Tennis Fever, has sold less than Aces. I think there's reasons for that beyond just the fact that it was $70. But, so there is an argument to be made that Nintendo's like, oh boy, we really have hit a price ceiling.
Right.
And so maybe we do need to find a way to sell these games for cheaper.
But a price ceiling for a certain type of game.
Right.
Mario Tennis is not a 3D Mario game. And you can ask for more on something like that, where you'll just be like, well, it's expensive, but what, am I not going to buy it?
Right.
Whereas I can look at Mario Tennis Fever for $70 and be like, I'll wait.
Yeah. Totally.
That's what
I didn't buy it.
Neither of us did.
Yeah.
But like, if that thing goes on sale for like $50, like, I will think about it.
So, I am willing to be
still $50. Still kind of a kick in the teeth to think about that.
I am willing to be totally wrong on this, though. Hopefully it is true that Bonanza, if released today, would be $60 digitally. That would be great. I would love that to be true. I just don't think it is. I just don't think that is the case.
Right. I mean, I think the consequences of the economic turmoil that the world finds itself in now is catching up with everyone in a lot of places. Let's move on to this PlayStation story here.
PlayStation is increasing the price of all of their hardware effective April 2nd.
Now, this is on the back of a smaller price increase just last year. For all of the hardware that has been out there in the case of the PS5 since 2020.
Yeah, so the PS5 is going, like the version with the disc drive, is going up $100. It'll now be $650. And like you said, this is after a $50 price increase last year.
Right, so that is a $150 price increase for 6-year-old hardware.
Yeah.
From $500 to $650.
The digital edition without a disc drive is now $600, so just $50 less. The Pro is $900, and the Portal has gone up to $250.
So the PS5 Pro, by the way, launched at $700. So it is now up $200 from that. It's almost $1,000. That's a lot of money to spend on your PS5.
And the Pro is a couple years old now. At
Yeah,
this point, right?
a couple years. Yeah, I think maybe like two or three. I did throw the old, inflation calculator on the original price for the PS3 when it launched, like the larger version of it, which was a famously derided like price point of, because it was $600.
Just get a second job.
Just get a second job, right? That is the go-to line about the more expensive PS3, comparable to this $900 PlayStation 5 Pro. So it's not like out of nowhere, but it is comparable to a notoriously high price.
Right. And the 3 sold really poorly in the beginning.
Absolutely.
Like it struggled in the beginning.
Right.
Especially compared to the 360. So,
Mark, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If I were to offer to sell you my PlayStation 5 for $300, would you take it?
I mean, for well, no, because I don't have.
You don't have $300?
What would I don't have use for a PS5 right now.
You are playing all those games on Switch too right now.
Yeah.
I am, because April 2nd is still the end of the week. So I'm a little bit like, should I get a PlayStation 5 Pro now?
Oh, sure.
Spend the $750 that it currently costs.
Yeah.
And like future-proof that a little bit.
Right.
I've got no complaints with the performance of my PlayStation 5 currently, so I probably won't make this move. But if you had said yes, then maybe I would be like, Yeah, great.
I see.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I just don't have. Sorry, I'm sorry. I just
It's okay.
I just don't have use for a.
I didn't think you.
PS5.
I didn't think you would.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, and then you have the Pro,
Right.
you know,
And they can't raise the price on the thing that I already own.
right.
Although they can raise the price on PS Plus, and I'm sure they will. But yeah, it's just crazy to me that just over the course of a couple years that the Pro went from 7 to 9, and even the base version goes from 500 to 650.
It's just a confluence of crazy events, right?
Yeah.
Tariffs, memory prices, all of it just kind of like hitting at once. So, I don't know if you want to talk about because I feel like we should talk about, will Nintendo raise the price of the Switch 2? That's kind of like the looming question.
They will, right?
I think
they got to be really taking a bath on the 450 Switch 2 price.
I don't know because they stockpiled a ton of them beforehand, right?
Yeah.
I think
Well,
think
that's
they're
true. So maybe the memory thing isn't as big a deal.
They're really incentivized to not, right? They're really incentivized to sell as many Switch 2s as they possibly can.
Right.
And I think that they are giving themselves as much room as possible to not raise the price, right? They're raising prices on basically everything else.
Yes.
Functionally.
Including
right?
all the versions of the Switch 1.
And so I think they're trying really hard.
I think so too.
Or not to. I don't know. Maybe it is inevitable. Maybe, like there's just no way around it, and components are going to get so crazy expensive that they have no choice but to raise price.
It's just the PlayStation that Sony had done it, had raised their prices $50 already, and we're like, okay, this can stem the tide for a little bit.
But the thing is, they had put it off for so long, right?
That's true.
Before,
because they've done it in other territories.
Exactly. They had done it in Europe and all that earlier, like a year earlier.
Right.
And they had tried as much as possible to not do it in the US until it just became insurmountable. And they're like, yeah, okay, we have to do it. I think that Nintendo is trying to do the same thing, right? They need to sell as many Switch 2s as possible.
Absolutely.
Because the next decade of Nintendo kind of depends on it. And so I kind of, to my mind, like the fact that they're moving to variable pricing for digital
games,
and physical games is kind of the same thing, right? It's like, how do we protect our margins? How do we make the game, we can say that this game still sells for $70, right? Like we can make that a true statement, even though the thing that it costs us more to actually sell,
right?
That is going to go up in price. We've seen the accessories go up. I think they're doing everything they can to prevent it, and maybe at some point it'll just become inevitable, but I really don't think they want to.
Well, and it's interesting that this is a move that Nintendo's never done before, is the variable pricing.
In the US.
It's
very common everywhere else in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
But part of the reason for it being a thing in the US is the sort of reliance on the method of distribution and the retailers that will put games and, more importantly, consoles on store shelves. Also Amiibo, right? But we've mentioned this every time that it's been a thing that oh, look, Nintendo's selling the Alarmo on their website. They're selling the Switch 2 on their website. From day one. That is a change in their operations. And so maybe this is them really signaling they don't need the retailers at all. And any bad blood from a cheaper digital version doesn't hit them at all. It feels like unprecedented, crazy times, which I understand the world that we're in is all that all the time. But this is a Nintendo podcast, so we're going to talk about that part of it.
Bloomberg published an article last week reporting that Nintendo has cut production of the Switch 2 on the back of poor U.S. holiday sales. This is another one where I'm like, okay, what is actually being reported here? So
yes.
Here's the only new reporting. The rest of the article is mostly just speculation and conjecture. So the headline is Nintendo cuts Switch 2 output by over 30% on weak US sales. It was published on March 24th. Quote, Nintendo Co. is cutting back the production of Switch 2 after demand for the $450 gaming console trailed the company's expectations during the year-end holiday season, particularly in the US. The company plans, like current, to make 4 million units of its flagship device this quarter. A third less than the 6 million it originally planned to produce, people familiar with the matter said. The reduced output rate is set to continue in April, the people said, asking not to be named as the figures aren't public. End quote. So that's all the new information in there. Here's the thing that I have no idea if this is true or not, but here's the thing that bugs me, like I don't understand about this, the way this article is reported. So this says the company plans to make 4 million units of its flagship device this quarter, presumably meaning the quarter we're in right now, which this was reported on the 24th last week. The quarter ends today. Today is the last day of the quarter.
Right.
So
what does it mean?
Right. They're like currently planning to, you know what I,
yes.
That's the part that confuses me about this article. Because it's like, what do you mean they plan to? Those plans have to have been like, it seems like it'd be past tense.
Right. Or yes. That the
like for the last week of the quarter, like the 24th when this was reported. They decided to
turn the dial down from 6 million to 4 million.
They're cutting it to like by 30% for that last week. That's the part that doesn't make, I don't understand in the report.
Yeah, you're wondering what extrapolation is being done there. If it is genuinely 30% during the last week or whatever, and then just extrapolating out, they had originally planned to do 6 million, so obviously this is 4 million. Whatever any of it all means, I was seeing Blue Skies from Matt Piscatello that was like, this what's being reported here like is true. Nintendo is like cutting down their production on Switch 2, but like here is the percentage of sales versus every other major platform in the last 2 decades at this time in their life cycle, and Switch 2 is selling faster than any of them. So like it may not. It is true that it may not be living up to Nintendo's expectations. It may also be true that it has caused them to cut down on their overall production of Switch 2s for this quarter or next. Who knows? But it is not true that that is reflective of a poorly selling console. I do think that there is a desire to frame Nintendo as in trouble at the moment, like in the video game sphere and in like news spaces, and that's an extension of like every news story is about doom and the end of the world as we live through it. And it's Nintendo was on the top for so long that like it's maybe a little bit fun to kick them when they appear to be down. And I just don't know that that is the reality that we're witnessing here.
It is true that Switch 2 sold 35% less in the US compared to what the Switch 1 did during the like holiday season.
Right.
In Switch's first holiday season. So 2017 compared to 2025.
Right.
The Switch 2 sold like 35% less in the US.
But that holiday is positioned differently to the holiday of the Switch 1.
Plus,
just in terms of time elapsed between the launch and the right.
Yeah. Also, like so many more, like the Switch 2 is still ahead of the Switch by like 45% or something like that. Right. So, anyways, yeah, it's difficult to know exactly what's going on, especially from just like kind of like random reports. Nintendo quarter ends today, and so what will it be like?
Probably May sometime.
In May, the beginning of May, that we'll have like official numbers from them, and their projection for the next fiscal year, which will be very interesting to see. We have some new information and a release date for Pokemon Champions. The release date is soon. It's April 8th on Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be free to and Switch, right? Coming to both.
Well, so it is technically a Switch game, and then it does have performance improvements for Switch 2. But as you were about to say, it's free to start, so it doesn't. There's no incentive to sell you a Switch 2 version, right? But it is technically speaking on our spreadsheet, Mark. It is logged as a Switch game.
That makes sense. You can recruit Pokemon within Champions, but they'll only stick around for a limited time. You earn and spend victory points to buy cosmetics, but also train your Pokemon to alter stats, natures, etc. I'm assuming victory points can be bought for money as well.
I believe they can also be bought
or
for
maybe
money.
they have their own currency, or maybe they have their own in-game currency that you buy.
But it's a premium currency,
yeah.
And that can also be used to keep, I believe, to keep the Pokemon that you recruit in Champions, to keep them around for longer.
There will be ranked, casual, and private battle modes. Supports both 1-on-1 and 2-on-2 fights. Some interesting notes regarding Pokemon Home functionality.
Yeah, and I guess we don't have to actually go through each one of these, all of which is to say that there are like restrictions on bringing Pokemon to and from Pokemon Champions, and what sort of the customization that you get from training them carries back into their home games, if at all. It seems like some of them, if you train them up and then move them back to Let's Go Eevee or whatever, that any stat changes that come as a result of you training them don't go back with them, but when they come back into Champions, they will be restored. If you are a competitive Pokemon player, just get in there and read that kind of stuff and make sure that you've got your head wrapped around.
Well, and I think Champions is becoming the new platform
it
for
is, yes.
The Nintendo or Pokemon World Championships later this year. The new platform going forward is going to be Pokemon Champions.
And one of the things here is that a Pokemon has to be in Pokemon Champions in order for it to be transferred there from Pokemon Home, which is to imply that not every Pokemon that has in existence is in Champions yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just a small news item.
It's so small.
Mario Kart World has been updated to version 1.6.0, and along with the normal balance adjustments and bug fixes, they've added a new battle mode. Bob-omb Blast is now in the game.
So Connor and I talked about this briefly on the news episode that you weren't on a couple weeks ago. That like a screenshot of a version of Mario Kart World that included a little Bob-omb icon in the battle mode options was leaked by Nintendo, or like included in a tweet about something else. And so people were like, "Hey, is the Bob-omb mode coming to battle mode?" And we were like, maybe. And then now, yes.
Yes, now, yes. And finally, Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo got an update last week, adding a theme based on Super Mario Brothers Wonder plus Meetup at Bella Bell Park.
I have to connect my Alarmo to the internet and download this
also,
thing.
Sarah's parents didn't get to enjoy the new
They did not.
Alarmo theme.
No, they did not.
But they probably didn't know that it was released, so they didn't.
I mean, I said I played a little bit of it with Sarah this weekend, so they did have to see some of us playing.
No, I meant they probably didn't know that there was a new theme for Alarmo that they were,
I see.
they were missing
deeply
out on.
Plugged into the updates of Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo.
And finally, finally, don't forget there is a Super Mario Galaxy themed Tetris 99 Maximus Cup this weekend starting on Friday. Don't you dare forget it.
Don't you dare forget it. I did turn on the Switch last Friday being like, we got to get this thing right now. Get it out of the way. And then it wasn't there. It was just regular old Tetris 99.
Yep.
Still great.
But this Friday.
Not what I turned it on for. Yes.
Yeah.
So this Friday, we'll get in there. We'll get that theme. We got to get all these themes.
Got to get all the themes.
All right, Mark. Let's close this out. That's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Mark, I feel like we talked about a lot of kind of like bummer news this episode.
Yeah, my arms were crossed for a lot of this.
And your brows furrowed.
I think that's just permanent now.
Join our Discord if you have not already. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8BitBetty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.